Reddit, tell me your glitch in the Matrix stories. I'm talking weird occurrences, coincidences you haven't been able to easily explain. I'll start. We have a breakfast laid on at work every morning, just a simple buffet of eggs, bacon, what have you. Nothing huge, and it's really only to feed about a dozen people or so. I am usually one of the first guys from my team to get to work, and the kitchen was deserted as usual. I walked into the little kitchen. There was a ceramic egg tray thing with 12 eggs in it, like the bottom half of an egg carton with a socket for each egg. All spaces are filled with warm, freshly boiled eggs. I take one, walk over to the garbage bin, shuck the shell, then I walk back over to the food and stop dead. There are 12 eggs in the tray again. No one entered the room while I was peeling the thing. I touched the mystery egg. It was the same temp as the other eggs around it. Not a big thing, nothing major, but something very strange. Given one does not get presented with strange eggs from a parallel universe every day, I peeled and ate that one too. Driving home on a storm day, I see that a side road up to the local golf course is blocked off by flashing barricades. I also spy a Mercedes parked past the barricades with its hazards on. I stop and walk up to the car to see if they need help. I'm an EMT. I shine my light in the backseat to see a man slumped over, apparently asleep. Thinking I've got a few drunks, I move up to the driver window and rap on the glass and shine my light in. The driver is sitting bolt upright, unmoving, staring straight ahead. My window rapping or light doesn't cause him to blink, flinch or move. I look over and the passenger is slumped forward onto the dash. This begins to creep me out. I call down to the sheriff station and request a code 2. No lights, sirens, unit up to my location to help me check them out. Doors are locked. While on the phone, I walk back to my truck to get my go bag. As I'm on the phone with dispatch, she asks me to get a license number for the car just as a PG&E power company cherry picker truck comes rumbling down from up the closed road. I move to go around the truck to get the plate number, and the car is gone. I talked to the driver of the truck and he said there was a 80-foot tree down across the road and that he didn't think it'd be open for a day or so. So the question is, the hell did the car go? Tree up one way, barricades down the other. It's kept me a bit unsettled when stopping at accidents, hazards since then. At 12 years of age, my mum let me stay in the truck as she went grocery shopping. As I wait, I see an old guy walking towards the truck with an indescribable look at me, as if I know too much. He stops 5 feet from the truck, looks at me for a couple seconds and heads back the exact way he came. It was rather traumatic for some reason and very confusing at that age. 5-6 years later, my dad was showing me home videos of us at Yellowstone. At Old Faithful, I noticed the same guy, same look, same clothes, peering at us on camera and at me through the TV. I'm freaked out just telling this. My dad had this little toy monkey that he used to call his favorite child and tease me and my siblings with it. Not in a bad way, but it was really frustrating to us and we spent hours trying to steal it from him. Well, anyways, one day we finally got it and threw it into the garbage after drawing on it and mangling it for a bit. My dad laughed and searched for it a bit, but basically figured we had thrown it out and gave up after a week or so. Anyways, a few years later, when I was about 17, I'm walking down the street in Toronto. I don't live in was just visiting friends, and see this little orange object on the side of the road. When I walk over to it, I pick it up and see that it was the exact same freaking monkey. It even had the black Sharpie lines on it from when we drew all over it. I honestly cannot even come up with the chances of that happening, especially considering our garbage is sent to a local dump and is nowhere near Toronto. It will be back, and angry, and on fire. I used to work in a building that had 3 levels of sub-basements. With the piece of lab equipment I typically worked on in the lowest basement, I had the only key. There was a wired phone in there, and I did work late some nights. But not this night. I was sleeping alone in my apartment when I woke up to a call on my cell phone from my girlfriend at 3 AM. She was in hysterics and asking why I scared her. Apparently she received a call from that basement phone just a minute earlier, with someone who sounded like me slowly repeating her name, until crackling and fading out. My apartment was 10 miles away from work. I thought she was lying. but I saw the 3 AM call from the basement phone logged on her cell myself. Still freaks me the frick out. I used to work in music and toured with this band. The guitarist Josh of the band's best friend, Matt, had died a couple years back. He always talked about the kid and he seemed like a great guy. Josh always had this reoccurring dream where Matt was standing on this abandoned street which, supposedly, was metaphorical for purgatory. Josh had all these conversations with Matt in these dreams and, because he had overdosed unexpectedly, he felt like his spirit was not able to move on. At the end of the dreams, Matt would take a bulb from the street light on the street they were standing in the middle of. Josh described these dreams in extreme detail and I could pretty much picture what the street looked like. Fast forward to about 6 months into touring with these guys. They were huge Bright Eyes fans and wanted to stop in Cassadaga, Florida. Bright Eyes' singer wrote an album there and it's a really creepy, spiritual medium place. It might be worth noting that 7 of the people I was with are all atheists. So we drive into Cassadaga around 2 or 3 AM and drive around. Suddenly, this big black dog comes in the middle of the road and just stops and looks at us. The guys in this band were weird as frick and were saying things like follow the dog. It's trying to show us something. And in my mind, I'm just thinking they are all freaking idiots. We follow this dog for a few blocks, as it was walking pretty slowly. All of a sudden, we turn a street and the dog bolts. We try to speed up, but Josh says stop the freaking van. This is it. We are all confused and he gets out of the van and looks around. This is it. This is the street in my dreams. We hang out for about 15 minutes and from the way he described the street, from having houses on the left to a park on the right, it was definitely the street. As we get in the van, a street light goes off and we just drive off. He claims he never had any more dreams about it, as there was closure on everything. Just got crazy goosebumps all over. Middle school, the entire 8th grade class had to do this thing called a cultural fair where we research our lineage, cultural roots, and present it after school at night for all families to see. Me and a buddy are cruising the empty halls out of boredom before the whole thing starts and for some stupid reason, I bet him $10 I can open any locker, and he gets to choose which one. He takes my bet and picks a random locker. He jiggles the handle and spins the dial on this a few times to make sure it's locked. I remember, it was locker number 424. So I look at him, go PSSSSHH. Watch this. I spin it. 6 right, 24 left, 34 right. I remember thinking, these numbers sound right in my head. The latch lifts up and it swings open. I had something like this happen in my high school history class. History was always my thing, and I was doing well in the class. The teacher decided to split people into teams for a group quiz, but he would pick the hardest questions he could think of. My group ended up winning with all the answers correct, mostly because of me, to be honest and immodest. So someone on the other team goes, Jesus Christ, Danger McBoom, did you memorize the frickin' book? He then opens the textbook to a random page, and asks, what is the little factoid on the side of the page on page 492? I had no idea, but right before quiz, I had my book open on random page and read a little factoid thing on the side which was about the genocide in Rwanda, appropriately titled, Genocide in Rwanda. It was the only thing I could think of, so I replied, very calmly, Genocide in Rwanda. His mouth dropped open, he slammed his book closed, and said very matter-of-factly, frick you. I have no idea what the chances would be of him opening to the exact random page my book had been open to and ask about that one little paragraph I just happened to read. It remains my favorite minfrick to this day. Maybe you were wrong. Maybe the kid had family who died in the Rwandan genocide and you just reminded him of it. Dong. Not sure if this relates, but about 2 years into my relationship with my girlfriend, we'll call her Susan, I had a dream about my ex. Dream went like this. I was in my room, at my mother's house, where I lived at the time, slamming my ex. Balls to the wall Xing it up. I knew I was cheating on Susan, but didn't care. So in the middle of it, I look over to the window, which you can see the back porch from, and Susan is there, watching us, crying and mortified. I then woke up. I thought it was a weird dream, but dismissed it. A few days go by and Susan and I are hanging out in my room. She brings up this weird dream she had a few days prior, and describes my exact dream except from her POV looking through the window. Freaked me the frick out. Didn't say anything about it at the time. I still haven't said anything 5 or 6 years later. It still weirds me out. You need to call your ex and ask her if she had the same dream. This could end badly.